Tsevhu. Here's a little tutorial on the art of koi, or actually, the art of koi writing, because this isn't just fancy fish. It's a sentence, and I'm going to teach you how to write using koi fish. Koiwrit has its own language called Tsevhu. Tsevhu is a constructed language I made back in 2020, and koiwrit is its ceremonial script. There's a couple other scripts, like shorthand, that allow for easier writing, but we'll be focusing on koiwrit for this tutorial. First, to write in koiwrit, you need to know what you want to write, so we'll find a sentence to translate. We'll start with this sentence. The sun sets on golden grains of sand. More accurately, Tsevhu would translate into the sun is setting into golden grains of sand, with golden grains being specifically made up of sand. We're being this specific since there are different ways to translate of into Tsevhu. Next, we need to look up each of these words in the online dictionary. I have a link in the description. We'll start with the content words, the ones that have meaning, rather than the grammar bits since those are typically done in specific ways. So, sun is soem, set is asiv, into is ur, sand is sage, but we need the meaning of made up of sand, which is the suffix up that gets added onto sage. Similarly, grain or pebble, which is ro, needs the plural suffix u, which often causes the root of the word to drop its final vowel. But since this word is one syllable, we get to keep the vowel. And finally, golden is gone. Let's get those suffixes attached. We now have sejup and royu. Nice. So these are what the words are in Tsevhu. Let's mark out what the parts of speech are for them. Soem is a noun. Asiv is a verb. Ur is a preposition, which in Tsevhu is actually called a postposition, since in speech it comes after the noun. Sejup is a noun. Royu is one too, and gwane is an adjective. Step 3, starting with the simplest version of the sentence. That tends to be just the subject and the verb, and sometimes the object if it has one. This sentence doesn't, so we just get the sun sets. Although, again, Tsevhu likes the sun is setting. That's because the base form, or simplest version of a verb in Tsevhu, is an ongoing action, unlike with English. Let's grab our two words for the sentence. Looking back at our list, we find our words for sun and set, so we'll start with these for the simple sentence. We can then form a basic diagram of what's the subject and what's the verb of the sentence. Important to Tsevhu grammar are the two different types of verbs called active and stative verbs. Active verb is a grammatical term in Tsevhu that indicates that an action is voluntarily done. Stative verb is the opposite. It's an action that is involuntarily done. Additionally, nouns have a case system that is also termed active and stative. The type of verb in the sentence and the role of the noun determines what case the nouns will take. Nouns agree with the verb of the sentence, meaning that an active verb takes an active subject, and a stative verb takes a stative subject. This case system carries on into the objects as well. To illustrate the concept better, take a look at this chart. We'll place the active and stative verb types along the top, and the basic roles nouns can play in a sentence along the side. We already know that active verbs get active subjects, so we can place that here. We also know that stative verbs take stative subjects, so we can also fill in this spot. But what about noun case for objects? They actually take the opposite case of the subject and verb. Active verbs take stative objects, and stative verbs take active objects. So here's our cases for active verbs, and here's our cases for stative verbs. Notice the flip-flop? On the koi fish, these are all done using ripple position. The verb slot on the tail, the stative slot on the head, and the active slot on the back. Going back to our sentence, let's look at what type of verb to set is. You can tell what type of verb it is by its ending. There are many endings in Tsevhu, but they are always grouped into either active or stative. Looking at asiv, it has the ending v, which we find is a stative ending, meaning it is a stative verb. And if you remember, stative verbs are actions involuntarily done, meaning that the sun in our sentence is setting involuntarily. Therefore, since set is a stative verb, the sun must take stative case in order to act as its subject. Alright, now after all that, we're on to step 4, where we can start sketching out the layout of the simple sentence on the fish. First, we need some details about the fish. The sentence, "the sun is setting," is present tense, and if you remember, since it's the basic form of a verb in Tsevhu, it's an ongoing action, so it's in the process of setting. Present tense and ongoing actions take the base verb slot on the tail of a south-pointing koi relative to the piece of paper. The base slot on the tail tells you it's an ongoing action, and the south-pointing koi tells you it's present tense. Because a sieve is a state of verb, we need to find the state of slot for its state of subject. Okay, so now that we have both slots, we can look at the markup for the sentence. A sieve goes on the tail, and soem goes on the head. We don't need the article the for the sun because it's typically understood to be there whenever you have a noun as a ripple by itself. Step 5 is finding the ripples for your words. Ripples are the way to write words in Tsevhu. They make up the alphabet for koiwrit. How ripples work can be a bit confusing at first, so we'll go over how to understand the ripple key. There are 10 variants of ripple forms, or ripple designs, and these 10 are called the ripple bases. They are used more for reference while writing the individual ripples than anything else, and you'll see why in a second. This is because each base has 4 variants that are used as the actual ripple letters. Each of the 4 variants of a base ripple is situated on a quartered circle, and we can use a quartered circle when drawing the ripples to get a more accurate ripple, which makes them easier to read. If we were to take the number 9 base ripple, we can stretch it around the circle in quarters like this. The first ripple is 1/4 of the circle, the next one is 1/2 or 2/4, then 3/4, and finally 4/4 to get 4 variants of the base. The orientation and rotation of the ripple forms are up to the writer, so you can place the ripples where it looks best. However, ripples and their length scale in size, so while a half-circle ripple is always half a circle, the smaller the ripple, the smaller the circle it lies on. Let's take a look at the full chart of ripples. And here it is. Each row in the chart is called a series. For example, this is the M series, and each row has the same base ripple. The M series is therefore modeled after the 4th base ripple. Each column, on the other hand, shows you how far around the quartered circle each ripple base stretches. The first column is for the 1/4 type of ripple, the second is for the 2/4 ripple, the third for the 3/4, and the fourth for the full circle. The first 3 rows are for vowels, while the remaining 7 rows are for consonants. There are 2 semi-exceptions to this rule. Both Y and W can function as both consonants or vowels depending on the letters around them. So you can get both un and yog for Y, and hute and wir for W. Step 6 is drawing the ripples and their corresponding slots. So we'll go back to the future. Fish. Here it is. And we're looking for the ripples for a sieve and soem. So we'll go back to our chart and grab the ripples for a sieve first. So we'll find a, s, I, and v. Ripples on the fish are written from the center out in concentric circles. So when we start writing a sieve, we want the ripples for A to be the smallest. For ripples, especially if you have multiple 1/4 ones in the beginning of a word or ripple set, it's best to have the following ripple slightly hang over part of the area of the previous one, like this. It makes it easier to tell that the order of your ripple is ace and not say. Next is the ripple for I, and then v. Let's move on to charting the ripples for soem. Find s, o, e, and m. And on our fish, we'll write the ripples for s, o, e, and m. Oh wow, look at that! We've got our first sentence in koiwrit. Yay! The sun is setting! We're not quite done yet though, so let's move on to step 7, which is to add any additional information that the sentence has. Tsevhu Dictionary, the sun is setting, of course, isn't our full sentence. It's, the sun is setting into golden grains of sand. We're missing into the golden grains of sand. We have soem and tsevhu, so let's add all the words for that missing section onto our fish. If you remember earlier, we said that into is a preposition, which means that into the golden grains of sand is a prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrases provide more information in a sentence about how an action is done, traits of the one doing the action, or traits of the one the action is done to. Because prepositional phrases, or as Tsevhu calls them, postpositional phrases, add additional information to the sentence, they are therefore considered as information not required by the verb for the sentence to be considered grammatically correct. They are neither the subject nor the object of the sentence, so they cannot take active or stative position. That means that we need to use the oblique slot for them. To figure out how to write into golden grains of sand, we first need to find the central idea of the phrase. The most important word in the phrase is the noun grains, as it is the core concept of the phrase and therefore the main noun in the phrase. Everything else within the phrase tells you about grains, so they end up as modifying ripples to grains. Okay, let's write it. Going back to our list, we start with grains first. We'll find the ripples in the word roru, r, o, ya, and u. And at the oblique position out in front of our koi, we start with the r ripple like this. Make sure when drawing the 4/4 ripples to have them almost touching at their ends. This will make it easier to distinguish the 4/4 ripples from the 3/4 ripples. Next is the o ripple, then y, then u. The order of our modifying ripples doesn't matter much in koiwrit. They will all attach to grains in the same way. We'll just start with golden. Ripples for koane are ko, o, a, n, and e. Let's place the ripple here, though really we could place it anywhere around royu as long as it's in close proximity. Just make sure that it doesn't get too close to other ripples. It would make the whole thing into a modifying ripple chain for soem here instead of being in the oblique spot like we'd like it to be. So, we'll ripple for ka, then o, a, n, and e. There we go. Next, let's do sand. Ripples for sejap are s, a, j, a, and p. And starting out our ripples, we have s, then a. Take a second to compare these two to the first two ripples in tsevhu. Notice how the slight overlap helps you determine if it's ace or say. If there were no overlap, you couldn't tell which one it is. Finish up the ripple with j, a, and p. Finally, we have into, with only the ripples u and r. And we can place u and r right here. If, say, we had more to say within this phrase, like adding on the adjectives beautiful and vast so that it reads into vast, beautiful, golden grains of sand, it gets a bit tricky because there's not a whole lot of space left around royu. What we can do instead is place the ripples out floating over here and connect them to grains using bubble trails to show their relationship to our phrase. This allows us to place as many things in our slots as we'd like. We also need to use a bubble trail to show what in the sentence is going into the grains of sand. Let's go over our steps one last time. First, find a sentence to translate. Then, find the basic vocabulary for the sentence. Start with the simplest version of the sentence. Plan out the simple sentence. Find the ripples for the words. Draw out the ripples in their slots. And finally, add any additional information to the sentence. And would you look at that? We're done with our sentence. The sun is setting into golden grains of sand. What a pretty sentence. Sketso for writing with me. See you next time.